So, to start off, what did I think of the progression system in the game? I want to talk about that because that was something that throughout the game, um, really bothered me. Progression system was something that progression system is like very important in games to me.
We are in Lilith's quarters, Vault Hunter. Please bring me the vault key you retrieved from
Um,
Tyreen.
that progression is huge in the game. Um, and that was something for anyone who was here for the whole stream, heard me continuously complain about. Um, and it was because I felt like the progression was kind of lacking in a way, in terms of the fact that the beginning game was very boring, and it took a long time to level up and get out of that like tutorial beginning area, which I hate, because that means every time I play the game I'm gonna have to go through that beginning boring tutorial area, and it takes like 3 hours. It's not like 20 minutes of tutorial. And then so that was my main issue with progression. The progression from beginning game to mid game was very slow and boring. It started picking up late game, but it was pretty like start and mid game.
She's just
Um,
Maya, she used to tell me stories about Lilith. When the two of them were
yeah.
fighting side
So
by side.
I thought I thought that was an issue that they could work on maybe somehow. I don't know. Maybe have an option to skip to level like 7, because
Lilith had her own secrets back
level
here.
7
This chest is of Iridian design. But I
level
have no
7's like when
idea
it
she
picks
might have
up.
gotten it.
You got a gun
I
slot.
know many
Yeah,
things about
exactly.
it, but
I didn't get my 4th gun slot
trust it
until level
open.
20, which really bothered me.
Ah, so I can. Familiar. Lilith must have intended for me to find this, but that would mean... Nonetheless, there's another matter for us to discuss, Vault Hunter.
Anyways, yeah. Um, there was the fact that I really didn't like you were at like 6 hour at that point. Yeah, I shouldn't be 6 hours into a game to unlock my 4th freaking gun slot. I should have my 4th gun slot by then. Um, another complaint I have is it's way too easy to get legendaries in this game. Legendary drop rate was in Borderlands 1 and 2 in pre-sequel, when you got a legendary, you were like, oh my gosh, legendary! You know, you got one maybe once to twice per run through, right? Maybe. Maybe. If you were lucky, you would get 2 per run through. If you had average luck, you might get one. You might. Most of the time, people didn't get their first legendary until they were running through the game on True Vault Hunter mode at a higher level for the second time. And so I could tell, because of the fact that they buffed the drop rate for legendaries, because I have a bunch of legendaries, right? Because they increased the drop rate by a decent margin. It's like a 10% drop rate now. I can tell the huge difference because I've grinded out Borderlands 2 for hours upon hours upon hours. I have like 100 hours in Borderlands 2, and I have like 3 legendaries, I think. 3 or 4 legendaries. They're not a common thing. They're very rare. Actually, no, I have more than that, but like I have like 6 maybe. But point is, I have a lot of hours in that game, and I have less in that game than I do in this one. And then, because of the fact that they increased the drop rate, I could tell they really nerfed how good legendaries were. Given there's that one machine gun that is the exception. There is the one machine gun that I carried till level 24, the Shocking Star Helix. This was the only legendary I felt in the whole game. This one, and so there are two: the Devil Penetrating Occultist and the Shocking Star Helix. Those were the only 2 legendaries that felt legendary, if you know what I mean. The rest of the legendary guns felt like just normal epic guns that you would pick up off the ground. They didn't feel like legendaries. Um, they didn't feel that unique. They didn't do anything super special. They didn't have like boosted damage of some kind. They didn't have some weird effect that did something stupid and made like bullets bounce around like crazy or something, which is the whole point of legendary weapons. Um, I think they definitely overdid the fact, like, they're trying to give away rare items like crazy. I think they overdid that by a large margin. I don't like that. I really liked the fact that I would never get one, and when I got one, it was like, you know, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. You know, I finally got a legendary, oh my gosh, sort of thing. And it was like a special thing that, you know, when you got it, you were lucky as heck, and all your friends were jelly of you. And so that was a huge thing. It was interesting.
Using my enormous intellect, I have sussed out the purpose of the artifact you discovered inside the vault.
I mean,
It is an advanced Guardian mind core. I
given
created a neural adapter that will link
a
it up with
lot
the
of
ship's
games
fast travel system.
do
Please
this.
do so now.
A lot of games do this, but I hate when games
Guardians
include a political agenda in the game,
their own combat AI by
given it's hard to expect
simulations of
someone
alternate
not to.
or chaotic universes.
But I'm
As
very
is
much
agreed,
don't
their
like
simulation
politics getting
is
involved in my
up to
video
you from
games. I want to play my
concern.
game to distract
My
myself from
paradoxes
reality.
or reality leaks should either
Um,
solve themselves, or we will all be obliterated before we can feel too much
That
pain.
engine is the real deal, baby. Hyper quantum
So-
bullshit. That's what it is. So enjoy
It
the
really
ride.
bothered me that there were some political statements in there that were very controversial to me. And I was like, you know,
Fun, doesn't it? I call it mayhem mode. I've integrated it into our onboard fast
yeah,
travel
it
pass,
was.
so you can use it whenever you feel the call of mayhem. Enjoy.
Attention, crew of Sanctuary. That motherfucking Vault Hunter just saved y'all asses. So show some respect.
Yeah,
Ain't enough heroes in this galaxy.
I don't want to bring up exactly what the political opinions were necessarily. I want to stay out of that, but there were definitely political statements made throughout the game. And even if I agreed with even if I disagree or agree with them, either side of that, I don't want them in my game. I want to play my game to get away from that. That's a big thing I don't like. I felt like the story was very dull in the beginning. I felt like a lot of the side missions were pretty dull and they weren't very funny or anything. In Borderlands and all the other Borderlands, the side missions are all sort of special in some way, and they kind of like inspire you to do them because they give you some, not something good necessarily, but they give you something goofy. So like they'll give you a gun that talks whenever you shoot it or some crap like that. And so it's like a special thing that you don't get too often. It's hard exactly to explain what I mean, but I think you basically understand. I think you understand what I mean to a good extent. Those were my main complaints about the game. The game was definitely a little glitchy. I didn't love that they tried to make it parkour at certain parts because the game does not work with parkour in any dimension at all. Like they tried to do like those obstacle course jump thingies, and I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Okay, bud. It didn't feel right to me. So, I don't know. That was my thing. I did enjoy the game overall, though. The game overall was a ton of fun. I definitely will play it again at some point. That's something that will definitely happen. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, so it'll be interesting as I replay it to see if anything changes with that, if I feel like the progression just changes and stuff. But as I see it now, I didn't love that. I felt it could have been improved upon in the game, and they didn't have to do it in that way. So, what would I rate the game out of a 1 to 10? Honestly, On its own, I would rate the game. I would rate it a solid 8-ish, solid 8 or 9. Very good, not perfect, but pretty good. I wouldn't rate it 9 just because I felt there were some things they could have done a lot better, like the beginning being boring, but once it picked up, it was a lot more fun, and I really wanted to keep going. Like I said, the parkour elements, just smaller things that really bothered me that I didn't enjoy. Fortnite, what gaming? Anyways, yeah, small things that bothered me that I didn't really enjoy and I felt could have been changed to make the game better. So I'd rate it at 8 there. Do I recommend the game to anyone? I would recommend it to someone who's played the Borderlands series. If you have not played the Borderlands series, do not get this game. You'll not appreciate a lot of it. You'll be confused about 90% of the game. They do a decent job at explaining it, but the game's not going to be nearly as enjoyable if you haven't played the other Borderlands. I'd recommend at least if you're going to play this one, if you're interested in playing Borderlands 3, play Borderlands 2. I started on Borderlands 2 and I understood everything. Yeah, also watch also watch either playthrough or watch the Telltale series because it's very important story-wise. You don't necessarily have to play it. I recommend playing the Telltale series. I loved the Telltale series. I thought it was a ton of fun. So there's Tales from the Borderlands. In total, there are currently 5 Borderlands games. There's Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, Borderlands 3. Yeah, so that's 4 of them right there. So Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, Borderlands 3, and then Telltale games, Tales from the Borderlands, which gets a lot of crap for no reason. It's a really well-made game, and it's where Reese and Vaughn actually come from, so it's very important story-wise to know who the heck Reese and Vaughn are. It's also important story-wise because they introduce Flak in that. They show you how Hyperion's ship got taken down. They show you how Scooter gets taken out of the story. They show you a lot of characters get taken out of the story that are very important story-wise, but they didn't want to put it in a full game. Or they ended up not playing it in a full game. They ended up making a Telltale agreement and putting it in a Telltale game instead. So if you're going to play this game, just at least minimum play Borderlands 2. The only person I would recommend this game to is someone who has at least played Borderlands 2. Because otherwise you're not going to enjoy the game. You're not going to understand the gunplay, you're not going to understand a lot of things, you're going to get walked through it, you're going to get really annoyed with some of the mechanics. You're probably not going to want to give it as much of a chance, but if you play Borderlands 2 first, which honestly, if you're going to play Borderlands, I would recommend starting on Borderlands 1 because I can't go back to Borderlands 1. I struggle to force myself to play Borderlands 1 because Borderlands 1 is so stripped down compared to Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel. I would recommend going through them, Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, Borderlands Telltale, Borderlands 3. So that you get a full scope of what Borderlands is and what Borderlands is about. And whether you like the series or not. Honestly, I still think Borderlands 2 is better than Borderlands 3, but I've played Borderlands 2 enough to the point where I don't really want to play it right now. I would rather play the newer one. I want to experience what the newer one has. Maybe something in the end game content now will pull me in. Basically, in the order that came out, yes, exactly. Something in the end game content might pull me more towards Borderlands 3 and making it a 9 and saying, you know, I prefer this to Borderlands 2. I love this game. But Borderlands 2 is great. Borderlands 2 is a ton of fun. Borderlands 2 is kind of the standard for what Borderlands is. I would say this game's really close to Borderlands 2. It got me close, but I think because of some of the elements that were in Borderlands 2 that were not in Borderlands 3, Borderlands 2 is just a better game. Obviously, the game just came out, so there's gonna be glitches and stuff. Borderlands 2 came out a while ago, so there aren't nearly as many glitches or anything. But because of legendary drop rates and stuff, I think Borderlands 2 is more fun because of that. You're going to get more hype when you get those legendaries. You're going to have more fun with that. If you're going to play Borderlands 3, I'd probably play it with a friend. Because the beginning is going to be really, really boring otherwise. I was kind of just like at the very beginning until I was level 7, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is really long. And just playing it with a friend will make the whole process go faster, and it'll make everything a lot easier on you. Um, it'll make your life a lot easier. It'll make things a lot faster. You'll level up faster. You'll get missions done faster because you're able to co-op on missions. There's gonna be a lot that's gonna be beneficial to you if you play through it with a friend. It's just gonna be all around better experience. I think Borderlands 3 was made more for the co-op experience than for the solo experience, honestly. I think they did a good job catering to both, but I think it was made more for dual experience because of how some of the bosses were designed and how the game's content is designed. It feels like two people because of how the map is spread out and how large it is, and it's like, you can explore separately. I don't know, but overall, I think it's a great game. It's close to Borderlands 2. There are just some small issues that make it lower. Um, I really love the game. I totally recommend it to anyone who enjoys Borderlands as a series.